You know, I'm normally not the kind of person to say this one specific thing is my favorite thing, and I do that for a couple reasons, but the main one is because I don't want to run the risk of liking something a lot in the moment and then getting bored of it later. However, having been playing this game for nearly 20 years and loving every minute of it, I can confidently say that Halo Combat Evolved is my favorite game of all time. Like, I have so many fond memories of LAN parties with friends or chaotic four-person co-op on the couch, and when it comes to the story, I love the twists, the action, the comedy, and above all else, the wonder. And so today, I'm going to be taking that 20 years of experience with this game and breaking down 4 things that make me confident that this game is truly an amazing masterpiece, and why it's become a staple of the console shooter genre. Alright, look, I'm a musically focused individual, so if you thought that I was going to be starting with anything other than the music in this game, well, you're wrong. Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore made music for this game that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Have you ever heard this? If you said no, then you're lying. Halo leveraged its music in a way that no games at the time did, and even a lot of games nowadays still don't do. Every cutscene has a score that makes its dialogue feel more impactful. Every play space has its tone set by background music and other things that we'll talk about later. And even transitions from one part of a level to another feel epic thanks to the brilliant use of music. This is a section of Halo that I use a lot to demonstrate musical impact, and here it is with the music. And here it is without the music. That's quite a difference. And especially considering most music hits at just the right moment in a mission, it can make a victory over waves of enemies feel even more triumphant. It can make the arrival of a super hard enemy even more intense. Or make the arrival of a terrifying enemy even more scary. Halo CE set a precedent for music that almost no other games have met unless they were also made by Bungie. Even 343 has fallen short of this standard with things like Halo 4 and 5. Halo Infinite does seem to be getting back on track with the musical scoring, but only time will tell. But either way, Halo CE has music that will stick with me for the rest of my life, and generally just incredible music. It set the standard all the way back in 2001, and honestly, it's a hard standard to hit, which is why a lot of games still haven't done it. If you're not really a video game person, but you are kind of interested in Halo CE, I would recommend at least giving the music a listen. It is incredible on its own, and even better when implemented into gameplay. Back during the Halo days, Bungie was one of those companies that always did a really good job with core gameplay. Myth had some of the best real-time strategy encounters of its time, Oni did a great job of mixing up the third-person shooter formula, and Marathon was basically a Doom clone, but it did have some interesting enemy power dynamics. But Halo was in a league all its own when it came out. Like, I'll only briefly touch on this, but using one thumbstick to move and the other to look was pretty much unheard of when Halo came out, and it was so intuitive that literally everybody else does it now. That's how amazingly good the initial gameplay and innovation was for Halo. It's pretty much the main reason why first-person shooters on a console are a thing now. But there are so many other reasons why Halo was so good in its gameplay, and the 2 biggest ones were its weapons and enemy sandbox. No 2 weapons were alike, every enemy had its strengths and its weaknesses, and every mission introduced something new for the player to encounter and fight with or against. Most games nowadays have the same set of issues, giving the player a massive number of weapons that are functionally the same, introducing every enemy type as early as possible in the game and having the player fight them over and over mission after mission without mixing it up, and making the AI for those enemies as dumb as a box of rocks so they are super easy to kill on this on-rails path that the developer wants the player to use. Call of Duty. Halo did the complete opposite of this, and this was all the way back in 2001. The issues I just listed are things happening in games today. Like, honest question, was Halo that far ahead with its enemy and level designs, or do developers nowadays just not care? Each enemy encounter is laid out in a way that either the player or the AI can gain the upper hand depending on how they move and fight. And that's the thing, the AI actually moves during combat. Barring very few pre-programmed exceptions, you'll have a hard time finding an enemy that just stands in one place while fighting. Now, there are a few exceptions to this, like an enemy introduced later in the game that uses its numbers and swarm tactics to go after the player, but for the most part, the AI is actually tactical in its approach to take on the player. Adding to this, the fact that each enemy type has a different fighting style and weapon preference means that every encounter is different, and the differences become even more apparent when you change difficulties. Easy lets you blast through enemies with ease. Normal is a bit more challenging, but if you've got ammo in the Magnum, you're pretty much fine. Heroic gives you a pretty fair challenge that forces you to explore the weapon sandbox and mix up weapon combos for the best outcome in a fight. And Legendary is for masochists and super psycho fans. And I have beaten Halo on Legendary, so I'll let you choose which one of those two I am. I hate it so much. Jamie Griesmer, a former Bungie employee, once talked about the 30 seconds of fun that Bungie aimed for when developing this game. And honestly, how they use every element of the weapon and AI sandbox to create this elaborate chess piece around the map design really does show that those 30 seconds of fun were top priority. I kind of wish that 30 seconds of fun mentality was still alive in the current Halo games. I don't know, maybe Infinite will bring that 30 seconds of fun back around. Time will tell. With this game being almost 2 decades old, you may be inclined to look at the graphics and say that they look old or basic, and I'll be the first to admit, they are. Graphical fidelity has made leaps and bounds in the past 20 years, but I remember when this was the best that consoles, hell, the best that gaming had to offer. Open, sprawling maps, awesome characters and enemy designs, unique weapons, and awesome effects. And all of this was basically slapped together and shipped with the original Xbox in a total of 9 months. But as time has moved on and graphics have improved, people seem to forget that this game's art style and graphics served a purpose. 343 and Saber Interactive learned pretty quickly that polygon count isn't everything when you want to make a game. In fact, Halo CE Anniversary is a perfect example of how too much graphical improvement can ruin the intent of the original art direction. Halo's enemy classes are all color-coded in a way that allows for the player to determine how they're going to approach every encounter at a glance. See an orange grunt? Cool, he's probably not much of a threat, but if you see a red one, chances are he's going to be with another group, or he's going to have a needler. Be a bit more cautious. See a blue elite with some orange grunts? Take the elite out first. The grunts will scatter if you kill the elite, and if you see a golden elite, fucking run. Bungie also made use of this art style alongside the aforementioned music to set the tone for every level, especially this mission. The darker colors, the low visibility, the fog and rain, everything in this level is used to give the player a sense of unease and dread. But we'll get more into that later. Halo's graphics are simple and dated, but the art style is timeless. Picasso once said that art is the elimination of the unnecessary, and that's exactly what Halo CE's art style is. It's simple and effective and aids in giving the player everything they need to have a fun and engaging experience without bombarding them with a super bright, over-designed, poorly colored mess. Saber. Saving the best for last, Halo CE's story is a very point-to-point story compared to most games nowadays, but it does get the job done pretty well. I know, good sales pitch, right? But just like the art style, it uses its simplicity as its strength. Your ship shows up to a floaty ring in space. Elderly Captain Guy tells the sexy purple lady to wake up a big green cyborg. You find out that you're the big green cyborg, and your job is to get the sexy purple lady off the ship and protect her from the invading aliens. That's it! That setup is all you get to start the next 9 hours of gameplay. This line here is what you're given.
Get Cortana off this ship. Keep her safe from the enemy. If they capture her, they'll learn everything. Force deployment, weapons research, Earth.
And this one,
good luck, Master Chief,
are all you get before you're sent off. After that, you're given an empty gun and you shoot your way through a spaceship with impressively bulletproof windows and land on the space hula hoop. The general lack of deep lore and details of this world allow the player to engage more with the world through a sense of wonder and mystery. The ring you land on looks natural, but it's filled with these empty buildings. The only dialogue about the ring that Cortana gives you is about the weather.
The weather patterns here seem natural, not artificial. I wonder if the ring's environment systems are malfunctioning.
The vegetation.
I'm reading thousands of types of flora. The ring's ecosystem is incredibly sophisticated.
And a cave.
This cave is not a natural formation.
But apart from that, you as the player are free to build your own assumptions about the history of this ring world, and you have 4 missions to do this while also reducing the enemy population of every play space to 0. But then we get to 343 Guilty Spark. Now, if you haven't played this game for some reason, it's only been 20 years, but hey, whatever, I'm going to be getting into spoilers here, so I want to put a spoiler warning right here before we move on. This is actually a huge moment in the game, so if you're going to play the game and you don't know what the twist is, skip to here, but otherwise, that's it. We're going to get into the spoiler, the big moment. Let's talk about 343 Guilty Spark. You finally finish one of the longest missions in the game, and Cortana tells you that the Covenant messed with something that they shouldn't have, and Keyes is about to do the same thing. You have no idea what it is or how you're going to help with the situation, but the look that Cortana gave you a moment ago was so scary that you were pretty much planning to run away anyway. However, once you do get out of there, you're taken to a swamp that is drastically different from the last 5 locations you've been to. It's dark and rainy. The fog makes it hard to see, and the enemies you encounter are all jackals and grunts. Not a single elite to be found. And if you pay attention, there's seemingly allies somewhere. Maybe. But after some exploring, you find more scattered enemies, blood, fire, this green ooze, and this guy.
Stay back! Stay back! You're not turning me into one of those things!
Something's wrong, and you as the player have no idea what it is. You thought that you were going to meet allies to fight enemies, like you have been for the rest of the game. But that is very far from the truth. After all that, the third enemy type is revealed, and the gameplay and story are turned on their heads. The Flood is a brilliant twist that completely changes the context of the story and allows the game to naturally begin introducing the Forerunners, the lore, and the history of the ring that you've been playing on for the past 5 missions. What was originally a mission to fight for your own survival on this weird ring world transforms into saving every being in the galaxy. What did Chief say in that Halo Infinite trailer?
The missions change. They always do.
Yeah, I feel like this is where that all began. And from this mission onward, it becomes a story of 3, technically 4 different groups fighting to achieve their own goals. And you as the player have to make sure that your goal is the one that actually succeeds. The story makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel like what you're doing has genuine consequences for failure. And it makes you feel like you are in the armor. There's really something to be said about a game that makes the player actually feel like the protagonist. And the original Halo trilogy did that beautifully. It was a masterclass in engaging the player. And honestly, Halo pulled it off so early on, and so many games struggle to do that even now. I mean, hell, even games in the same universe as this one, like Halo 4 and 5, fail to make you feel like a 1-ton walking tank of a character. With that level of engaging storytelling, the story itself with the brilliant Flood twist in the middle, and the incredible voice acting that makes every character feel real, this game gives you an experience that you can get lost in and enjoy from day 1, November 15th, 2001, till day 5,260, October 1st, 2021. I was going to try to do this on November 15th of 2021, but I got impatient, so sue me. If you've watched all the way through to the end of this and you haven't played this game yet for some reason, I mean, better late than never. You absolutely should. It's available on PC, it's available on Xbox. Just go play it. Like, in all honesty, I am saying this from the bottom of my heart. More people need to play this game to understand why it is such a masterful and beautiful work of music, gameplay, art, and storytelling. So just do it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I put a lot of time into it. This is one of the bigger projects I've been working on. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Do you like more long form videos like this with a lot of work put into them, or do you like the shorter stuff I do? I'm honestly curious. Let me know. But apart from that, thanks for watching, guys. And again, hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.